Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. The Fatal Fury City of the Wolves open beta is now live. And with it, I want to discuss a few things about the game, both my personal thoughts and also some thoughts of the general community at large, and the response to some of these things going on by the producer himself of the game. If there's one nearly universal thing people are talking about is the game plays good, the game feels good, but there's a couple side things around it that aren't as amazing, let's put it that way. And we'll get into it, but hey, open beta number 2, apparently that's an option that's on the table now. And I guess we'll start with the community focus before we get into like my little quibbles here. Because once again, gameplay wise, everyone agrees, hey, the game plays great. The issue people are having though, at least overwhelmingly, is matchmaking. Now I could give you a million examples from a million people, but it's very clear that matchmaking kind of just seems to be one of the big issues with the game right now, which is frustrating in a way for me because I'll be honest with you, I had no problems personally. Like, I had no issues with what I would consider out of the norm for a matchmaking match to be made. Maybe it's because I'm playing on console, I don't know, but like for me, it was pretty okay to good actually. But it's clear that's not what it is for the majority of the community because they wouldn't be raising their voices otherwise. It is a very good thing that SNK is listening. That is the point of the open beta. And on that point, lead producer Oda-san has put out this statement. We are currently working on the issue of the matchmaking and room search, but we don't think we'll be able to fix it in time for the test. We are exploring the possibility of a second test. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your patience. So that's awesome. You know, okay, we're working on it, and like in some rare openness from developer, like, hey, I don't know if we can fix it in time. But the fact that like, okay, maybe we'll have a second open beta as a make good, that's awesome. And on a potential second open beta note, well, you know, there's no training mode in the beta. Lots of people wanted training mode. And of course, they didn't put in training mode because they don't want the game to get cracked, which is going to get cracked. And, you know, do training mode offline forever, which my understanding is that happened a couple hours ago. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But it's hard. It's hard. We're going to have to get to the point where like you just can't do PC betas anymore. Anyways, on response to, you know, their fact there's no training mode, they say this. The test focuses on online content such as crossplay and rollback, but we received many requests for training modes and offline battles. So we're currently discussing with the director if we can accommodate them by the time of the release. Sorry if we can't make it in time. So basically, you know, if we have the second beta, maybe we will get training mode as well, maybe offline versus. Although at that point, just don't even make it like a beta, just make it like a demo, you know? But still, you know, that's where we're at. You know, there's some problems. You know, when you have a match, it plays great. Like for me, the online was great. I had a couple rough matches, admittedly, but you can have the best rollback in the world and your connection's only as good as the worst of the two connections, right? That's how it's always going to be. I'm always happy, even though I live in the middle of nowhere, rural Ontario, Canada. It's never my fault. It's your fault for sure. And that's kind of where we're at. So once again, gameplay good, but people are definitely having issues with the matchmaking overall. You know, some people aren't like myself, but I definitely can't discount the sheer numbers of people who say they are having issues. And of course, training mode, you know, people want to practice their combos. It can be a little frustrating just to go online without knowing, right? Like some of these Hotaru combos were very trial by fire over the hours I was playing and figuring it out live. There's also, you know, roster concerns, because like I'm playing Hotaru. Normally I'd be playing T-Zoc, but big money T-Zoc does not show up for free. You want to play big money T-Zoc, you got to pay money. You got to buy the retail game. So looking forward for launch on that. Although, you know what? Hotaru is actually pretty fun overall. Like obviously very limited with the character, don't know all the things. But she feels like in this incarnation of herself, kind of like just a faster, better Chun-Li. Good enough normals, a fireball you can run after, good air control, good air throws, and you know, easy combo ability, at least for what I could figure out. And as one of the characters with a command grab, which is the whole reason I picked her. Just need a little taste, you know? Just need a little taste of that command grab goodness. Also, I'll say Vox, another character with a command grab. His command grab damage definitely got buffed in comparison to just the previous build. So that's nice. So now that said, though, we're going to go into some of my foibles about the game. You know, as far as like core gameplay system and all that, we're going to wait till the end of the beta before we do the video on that. Want a little bit more time under my belt before I go really in depth. But there's certainly things that are just apparent out of the gate I would like to talk about. Just little foible things, like nothing gigantic. Not deal breakers in and of themselves, but enough to where it frankly annoyed me. And one of the big ones is feints. So feinting can be important for combo structure in this game. Like the silly fancy combo I showed at the start of the video, right? So I labbed this out for a bit, and, you know, this has a feint at the beginning, and that's fine. Like, there's no problem with feints in combos in and of itself, but the problem is the input. So it's the rev button and heavy kick, D. And when I played the game previously at trade shows, like, I never really thought about it too much because, you know, I'm playing on the controllers they provided me. But now I'm here at home on my own controller. And that, of course, is naturally the Rooflebox, aka the FRS3. Maybe check it out. It's a good controller. I don't know. But anyways, so I am playing here, and then I'm like, you know what? It's kind of annoying because I have to move my whole hand over, right? Because I've normally got my hand, you know, on, you know, A, B, C, D, the 4 buttons, like as an SNK game would. And to hit the rev button and heavy kick, I have to shift my whole hand over to hit 2 buttons at once, which isn't the most comfortable. Versus if I could bind it to its own button, then I could either tap it with my pinky, therefore I don't have to shift my whole hand over, or I could use one of my thumbs for the thumb buttons on the leverless controller. And it would just be really strong quality of life. And not the least of which, in the console release of Mark of the Wolves, you know, the original game, you can do exactly that. You can just bind it to a button. Just, you know, go into your options, you set it to whatever. I had it set to R2, right? But that's it, that's all. Obviously, you know, it's a rev button plus other button input now, but like, that's still easy, man. Like, there is buttons to spare here on the controller, is what I'm saying. And certainly for a lot of newer players, I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, struggling with the concept to begin with, let alone you need to press 2 different buttons to do it. So, you know, a newcomer is not going to be doing any feint cancel combos anytime soon, is what I'm saying. You could just put it down on a singular button. It'd just be easier for everybody involved. Once again, not the biggest deal, admittedly, but it would be amazing quality of life. Speaking of quality of life, there's a ranking system. Sure, as you do, like you would expect such in a fighting game, but the ranking system is just for your account, that's it, that's all. And I feel that's a bit of a regression now that, you know, Tekken and now Street Fighter 6 have moved on to character-specific ranks. And I would feel like it'd be best for this game if they did exactly the same, because character-specific ranks, it encourages you to want to play more characters. Versus, well, I learned this one character, I got to a really good rank with this character, and now if I pick another character, I have to start at the same rank. You know, I'm C2 or whatever rank it is now, right? But if I picked a new character, they'd also be at C2, and then I'm probably going to lose my rank, which discourages me from playing that character. Per character ranks was a brilliant idea. I like that it has, well, mostly become a standard, but obviously not the case here specifically. It's just too good of an idea to pass up, basically. It makes people want to explore more characters, and I really hope they add it some way, somehow. I understand it's probably more grandiose than flicking a couple switches, and maybe it's not something they could do for launch immediately, because launch is only a couple months from now, but still, it is something I would love to see implemented in the game. And that's some quick thoughts for now. So a lot more grinding to do in the beta, a lot more matches to be played, a lot more characters to try out. I'm going to try out pretty much most of the cast except for Rock, because I don't like Rock. And we'll just go from there, and when time the beta is done, we'll have a more grandiose just thoughts video about everything. Biggest takeaway, even though what I just said for the last couple things you could definitely argue as complaints, but biggest takeaway is core game feels good, gameplay feels good. When it's working, it feels great. Obviously, any matchmaking issues people are experiencing is less than ideal, 100%, but they're working on it, and we might get a second beta out of it, so that's kind of cool, and maybe the second beta will have training mode, especially if this already got cracked and they brute force a training mode into it somehow. Anyways, at that point, you might as well. All I know is SNK is definitely reading the comments, they are definitely listening. So, whatever your opinion may be, one way or the other, do not be afraid to let your opinion be known on the matter. They want this to be the best game it can be, and your thoughts and feedback will lead it to be the best game it can be. And that said, there'll be more City of the Wolves video in time, but that said, for now, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching, hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Fatal Fury.